Today we're going to expand on what we talked about yesterday with graphing inequalities, and we're going to graph systems of inequality. Remember, you need to make sure that your equations are in y equals in order to do this so that you can graph them. Most of these equations are going to be in standard form, so remember to change from standard form. You're going to move that ax, and then you are going to divide by the number in front of y. So if you don't do that, you're not going to be able to do this graphing. Also, keep in mind, when we divide by a negative, we have to flip our inequality. So for this first one, I'm going to do a little bit of work here for you. So we do need to put this in standard form. We need to make sure that we get y by itself. So this is a positive 1x. So I'm going to subtract it. Okay, so I've moved my x, and now I need to divide by the number in front of y. Now this happens to be a negative. We do not change the sign when you divide. Negative divided by a negative is that positive y that we want. But we did divide by a negative symbol here, so my sign, my inequality goes from greater than to less than. I'm going to go ahead and write my slope first. So a negative divided by a negative is a positive 1/2 x, and a negative 8 divided by a negative 2 is a positive 4. There are these spaces here if you want to fill them in. If you're okay with just graphing, you can do that. But if you wanted to, you could say, okay, the slope is 1/2 and the b is 4. That my line, this is a less than symbol, so my line is going to be dotted, and my shading, because it's less than, is going to be below. So I'm going to go ahead and graph that equation. So I'm going to start here at 4. I'm going to rise 1 and run 2. I'm going to do a couple of points there. I could also go down and back. Notice my slope is positive. I'm going to keep my line going up. Here's my dotted line. And I'm going to use red for this one. So I'm going to shade below. If you're using pencil for this and you don't have colors, then you can just very lightly shade in right here, because we are going to be looking for overlaps today. So there's my first inequality. So for my second one, now I'm going to use blue. And again, this is a positive 3, so to move it, I'm going to subtract my 3x. There's nothing in front of y, and I didn't divide, so it's just going to be y is less than negative 3x plus 4. So again, my b is 4. My slope, negative 3, or negative 3 over 1. It's a less than, so dotted and below. So now I'm going to come back to my graph. My y-intercept is the same at 4, but now my slope is down 3 and over 1. Do a couple of dots there. It is dotted. And I am going to shade below, so that's going to be on this left-hand side. So what I'm looking for now, yesterday we only had one line, so now I'm looking for this overlap. And I can see, in fact, that the overlap is from here on down. So that is actually where our solutions are going to be. These are the coordinates, the x, y coordinates, that make both of our inequalities true. If you wanted to check it in the calculator, I always suggest using 0, 0, especially right here, since 0, 0 is going to be in common with both. All right, so we have one more example here. Again, we need to change it to y equals. This is a positive, so I'm going to make it a minus. And then we need to divide. Again, this is a negative, so we have to make sure we flip that inequality. So y, now it's going to be a less than. Negative 5 divided by negative 2 is a positive 5 over 2x, and 4 divided by negative 2 is negative 2. So my y-intercept is negative 2, my slope is 5 over 2. It is a less than, so that's going to be a dotted and below on my shading. So when I come to my graph, here's my negative 2, slope rise 5, run 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. My line is dotted. And my shading is going to be below. And again, if you're using a pencil, you can just do this real lightly, and then when you do your other one, you can make it darker where it overlapped. So for this one, again, positive 3, so we're going to minus that 3x. Make sure you take the x with you. And we're going to divide by the number in front of y is a negative. Again, a negative means I have to flip that inequality. So y is now less than. Negative 3 divided by negative 4 is a positive 3/4. And a negative 6 divided by negative 4 is a positive. When I put that in the calculator, I get 1.5. So now I can go through. I can set this up. My slope is 3/4. My y-intercept is 1.5. It is less than, so dotted and below. Both of these were dotted and below. It won't always be like that, just so you're aware. So 1.5, I'm going to kind of guesstimate in between the 1 and the 2. Now for my 3 over 4, I'm going to count. Notice I went in between the 2 and the 3. That's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it was dotted. And we are shading it below here also. So you can see right there, that was by itself. And now it's starting to overlap. And remember, the whole point is where does it overlap? So our solution, our coordinates that will make both of those inequalities true are going to be in here. Now 0, 0 is not in that space, right? It would only make the blue one true. So you could pick a different coordinate. You could pick 6, 0, and you could plug it in with your calculator. Have a great day.